Go?
That's EgoqueenAlexis.
Well, all together now. Perfect.
Hey everyone, I'm Alexis the Ego Queen. Love me. I know you do. Anyway, I stole the intro for this. I am with
Oh, good.
Skaredcast, who is another Warhammer 40k YouTuber and a pretty chill guy, I gotta say.
Well, I try to be, for tit for tat. So you're as chill as I am. Yeah, I play mostly Drukhari, so Dark Eldar, but also have my Black Templars, so zealous defenders of the God Emperor of mankind. And you play Sisters of Battle.
I do. I really
Mostly.
love my sisters. I think they're amazing.
Yeah. They definitely got some new stuff in the brand new chapter approved 2018. So today, I believe you and I are going to chat a little bit about Sisters of Battle, cool little combos that we can do. We're going to chat about some other stuff, and then go into like a Q&A and have people on Twitch and on YouTube ask us questions, and we'll answer them, and basically have a bit of a chat for a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoy. You guys and girls, I hope you all enjoy the content today.
Oh, one quick thing. The only armies I don't play in 40k, keep in mind, I have all of them except for Asinari, Eldari, Exodites, Croneworlders, and Exodites. Oh, and Corsairs.
Okay, well that makes sense. I guess I would be the one that would plug the hole there with all the Drukhari and Eldari and Inari stuff, and Harlequins too, because I have some.
Harlequins and Harlequins. Well. Oh, I also don't play White Guardians either, but a lot of people don't know what those are.
Like just Eldar Guardians?
No, White Guardians are the defenders of the Black Library.
Oh, right.
Because the Harlequins are outside the Black Library, and inside is the White Council. And the White Council is, well, it's essentially the Inari, but dedicated to Kigoroth.
Knowledge? Oh, the Laughing God. That's cool. So we've got Prophet of the 8th says hello from Calgary, which is in Canada. Well, hello, Prophet. Thanks for tuning in. So let's start with the main topic of the day, which will be Sisters of Battle. They got a brand new codex, or a beta codex, and chapter approved, and you have some really cool thoughts about them as well.
Okay, so at first I thought that they sucked. Like, this super nerf to Celestine was a huge deal for me. Like, that was, that annoyed me. Until I realized that they got even more broken. Like, everything about them got more broken. Their acts of faith allow them, the entire army, if you use the Book of St. Lucas on a Canon S and use your acts of faith on your Canon S, allow your entire army to do crazy things like getting a 2+ ballistic skill, or shooting, or doing multiple close combats, or doing, what are the other ones? Moving the extra 3 inches. Your entire army can do that so long as you stay in a castle formation.
That's the strategy that makes it into an aura buff, basically. Right?
So what it is you need a Canon S. Now, I go over this in my tactics video. I talk about the 3 types of HQ that sisters are going to have. Celestine is having a video on Monday, so keep that in mind. But in it, I talk about the 3 types of HQ, which is an Assault HQ, a Support HQ, and a Counter Assault HQ. So you want to put this on your Assault Canon S. Your Assault Canon S needs to have the Warlord trait Indomitable Faith. This allows everything around them to have a 5+ Shield of Faith. Then you take Celestine right behind them, and this gives everything within that bubble a 4+ Invulnerable save. Then you stick that Canon S within near a squad of Battle Sisters with an Imagifier, or whatever they're calling it now. They're Banner Bearer. And that Banner Bearer gives them all within 6 inches a 3+ Invulnerable save by spending 1 command point. So every turn you're cycling through about 4 command points. So you want to bring a brigade or a double thing that I'm forgetting. Battalion.
Battalion, yeah.
And
wait, so what's the stratagem for the magnifier to give +1 to their saves as well?
I forget what it's actually called, but it's 1 command point, and it's a +1 to their Shield of Faith. I know it's on the second page, middle of it. I don't have my book with me because
right here it is. So Sacred Banner of the Order Militant says use this strategy before the battle. Select a model in your army that has a simulacrum. It's upgraded to a Sacred Banner. In addition to its normal ability, the power of the banner can be used once per battle at the start of any battle round, and until the end, the invulnerable save of the battle round. That's pretty cool. The invulnerable save is improved by 1 to a maximum of 3+, and you can only use this stratagem once per battle. So for one turn, everybody with 6 inches, everybody in that model's unit would have a 3+ invulnerable save.
Yeah, so you use that unit to shield all of your characters.
So you could do it like a big Sisters of Battle unit, you know, and say you spend a command point and make that unit very, very, very hard to shift, especially if you're going second and you want to like keep them alive.
Of course. So
that's pretty cool.
The next thing that you need to do is you need to use Vessel of the Emperor's Will. It's a 3 command point stratagem. It's the most expensive, but this is where all of your command points are going to be going. You're going to be spending all of them into this because you're going to be putting everything into your Canoness, your assault-based Canoness. Now, there are 2 different strategies to use with your Canoness. You could either use Order of Our Bloody Rose, or Order of the Ebon Chalice. Ebon Chalice makes getting the faith tests done easier, but
that's 1, right?
Yep. Or you can use the better strategy overall, which is more attacks. You want to use Bloody Rose. You have a 66% chance or 70% chance of actually getting the effect off if you use a command point to re-roll it. There are also things like taking a Delgatus to make sure you get that reroll for free, so you don't need to spend command points to reroll things. Now, that being said, your character, your Canoness, needs to take the relic Book of St. Lucas. This means that your Assault Canoness should be rocking an Eviscerator and Inferno Pistol, along with her 4+ invulnerable save and the Book of St. Lucas, meaning your Canoness has a 4+ invulnerable save and a 9-inch aura. And yes, this ability stacks with every aura ability she has, including any granted to her by a warlord trait, or any granted to her by a stratagem or act of faith. This boosts everything. So 9-inch bubble, and you keep her moving, you keep her advancing, you don't assault until turn 2 with her, and you run in with them. Now, your entire...
So essentially it's a... apparently everybody's having a hard time hearing you, Ego Queen, on the stream. So that is odd. Just let me see if I can increase your mic gain here.
Here, I'll try to move my microphone closer.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Thank you, Wolf Shark, for letting us know that she was a little quiet. No problem. Okay, perfect. So so that's really cool. So you have basically a 9-inch bubble where all Sisters of Battle, you know, near Celestine and near her get a 4+ invulnerable save. You're using 3 command points a turn to essentially get them all the aura buffs to like get +1 to hit, or, you know, get the extra movement to get up the field quicker, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Now, do the acts of faith and stuff, do they affect tanks as well, or are they just like an infantry thing?
Ironically, sort of. Vessel of the Emperor's Will is worded very poorly so that it affects all Adeptus Sororitas units, meaning it actually does affect tanks, which normally it wouldn't.
Interesting.
So you can affect the tanks with the +1 to invulnerable save, as well as the 2+ ballistic skill.
Yeah, no, I was looking at that, you know, so what kind of tanks would that benefit? I guess mostly Exorcists, but you don't really like the Exorcist.
Everybody thinks the Exorcist is good. Everybody looks at the Exorcist and is like, wow, D6, strength 8, AP, -4 missiles? Except you need to keep them out in the open so that they can call a line of sight. And if they have to call line of sight, that means that they're not fully in cover, meaning that your opponent can pick them off at their leisure. They're too many points for what they are. They're decent, not great. On average, they're going to kill 2 models a turn, but Retributors are better, and the best tank in the entire, I would almost argue, entire game at this current moment is the Repressor battle tank from Forge World. In fact, I actually have the wrong Imperial Index next to me.
Okay,
But
hold on one. Yeah.
the Repressor battle tank has the ability to have 6 guys inside it shoot out of it. It's amazing.
That makes sense because you've got that are you talking about repressors or are you talking about
Oh, Repressors.
Yeah, repressors. They're pretty good, right?
Yep.
Now, do you think that having the 4+ in vulnerable save is worth it when it comes to like the exorcists? You know, giving the exorcist 2+ to hit and a 4+ invul. Do you think that would make up for the cost?
You would think that until you realize that the average Battle Sister squad gets 90 attacks in close combat.
And you can take a whole Battle Sister squad. For how many points would you invest in a Battle Sister squad?
Let's see, they're 45 points for 5, so 90, 135 points. And then 6 points of upgrades for the Stormbolters, and then a 10-point upgrade, so another 16 points. So around 150 points, you take 15 Battle Sisters that get 90 attacks in close combat at Strength 4.
Right. Yeah, I guess, and you're using a priest nearby too, right?
What you use for this is you use Order of the Bloody Rose for the +1 attack, +1 strength. You use a priest, and then you use the active faith that allows your entire army to swing twice. And by entire army, I mean you put it on your Canoness. Her aura ability affects everybody with Vessel of the Emperor's Will, and it's amazing.
Okay, that's very cool. Now, how about the changes to Seraphim?
Seraphim didn't really change. GW is just trying to sell hand flamers, and they're still garbage. Like, they can make them D20, and I still wouldn't take them. That's obviously a hyperbole, because if they were D20, I would definitely take them. But
D20 hand flamers? Wait, like, they made them D6 now, right?
They're D6, Strength 3, AP minus nothing, 1 damage weapons that are just kind of mediocre. They want you to deep strike Seraphim, which defeats their entire purpose since they can move an average of 15 inches on turn 1, plus an advance, plus firing their Inferno pistols if they're close enough. Granted, you have to do a turn 2, but they're the perfect bodyguard unit for Celestine as they have a 3+ invulnerable save due to their ability of having +1 invo save regardless. So taking them on foot is better than deep striking them. It'll be better than taking hand flamers. Taking in 4 Inferno pistols is better than hand flamers any day. Yeah.
So Steel Legion says, "Hi guys, hey Rob, how's it going? Thanks a lot for the sub. I really appreciate it." So I remember, you know, the Seraphim we use mostly for the Inferno pistols with the double move, like being able to move 24 inches and then blast something with the Inferno pistols. And I guess it's just a matter of changing the way that you look at the unit now, like and kind of what it does.
So it got into an interesting point where Seraphim went from being the glass hammer.
Yeah.
Excuse me. They went from being the glass hammer to being the ultimate bodyguards. Yeah. A unit of 10 with 4 Inferno pistols, 1 plasma pistol, and 8 bolt pistols is, no, it's 15 bolt pistols. Is amazing.
Yep.
And the 3+ invulnerable save will keep them alive.
They get 2 pistol shots each, right? Because they have double pistols.
Yep. And what's cool is the Sister Superior can now take a plasma pistol and bolt pistol, which a lot of people are forgetting. Although I might actually stick her with the, with Strength 4, I might stick her with a Power Axe or a Power Maul.
Yeah, Power Mauls and Power Axes are really good because you don't suffer the -1 to hit. Now, another thing that I find really cool is a lot of folks, especially I find folks forget that you can shoot pistols in close combat. And having 2 pistols is like a rapid-firing bolter in close combat. Like if you get those,
no, trust me, it is better. It is way better than that because you get your pistol shots and your close combat shots.
Yeah, so you get like, and so for example, Steel Legion, you know, he runs. Actually, Alexis and I were talking about Primaris Space Marines earlier before we started the stream, and Rob plays with the Primaris Marines. He plays a giant horde of Primaris Marines, and he loves his pistols. He pulls those pistols out in combat and just starts, you know, gets stuck in with the Primaris Marines, and all of a sudden you've got, you know, 3 attacks for Primaris Marine in close combat being veteran intercessors, plus a pistol shot. You know, they're sometimes more dangerous getting in close combat with them than just staying at range.
Yep, without a doubt. And what's cool, if you're taking them with Blood Angels, Dark Angels, they technically count as not moving for that turn, so they get all their rerolls for their pistol shots. That's
pretty cool because they, because they get their staunch defenders or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Rob says, Primaris Marines make scouts look like guardsmen.
In all fairness, scouts make Space Marines look like garbage.
That is very true as well. Like basic scouts are so much better than like your average Marines.
I mean, it's not really far-fetched to say that Space Marine tactical squads have already been phased out of this edition because nobody plays them, because intercessors are better in every single way. And I know a lot of people... Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat.
It's all good. That's why I have my giant beer glass, but I fill it with water.
No, but a lot of people, they like to say that, well, Space Marine tactical squads have more flexibility. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. 2 special weapons and a sergeant with a special weapon is pretty cool. Oh, wait, I can get that for about 50 points with my Battle Sisters. 3 special weapons, 2 extra girls for under 100 points. I'll take that. Scouts, they have the ability to grab objectives before the game even begins. Like, Scouts win relic games immediately.
Yeah, Scouts are very good for something like the relic.
And then there's the people who are like, oh, well, let's see intercessors take a las cannon. And to that I say, well, let's see a Space Marine squad take all sniper rifles.
Yeah, no. So we got Fulgrim on the chat saying he loves the Sisters of Battle cosplay costume you've made in the back. That's pretty cool. It looks awesome. So Fulgrim says it looks great. Make sure you check out EgoqueenAlexis, Queen Alexis's videos where her intro, she's actually in full Sisters of Battle garb, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I love it so much. I love going to conventions and that thing because she always gets stopped. And then people say, are you from StarCraft? And then you slap them. StarCraft is from me.
That's how of course, StarCraft was based around the Warhammer 40,000 universe, as any good hobbyist knows. So, looking into, we were talking last night a little bit about, how to best use Sisters of Battle, and you're really adamant about using Sisters of Battle as a infantry horde that gets in your face and gets really aggressive in short, close combat ranges. And so using things like priests and things like that to make your sisters reroll hits and get extra attacks and have extra strength, you're essentially looking at taking, like that knight combo guard list, but with sisters and like a knight, right?
This is gonna sound weird, but I don't think sisters need an ally anymore.
Okay. I'm a big proponent of mono faction. Like, I've been playing mono Drukhari forever. I'm a Puritan that way.
So the allies that I would select. Oh, we're having an echo on stream right now. But the allies that I would suggest for Sisters of Battle would be a Imperial Knight Castellan or 3 Shield Captains on Dawn Eagle jet bikes. Because they're big, they're scary looking, and people avoid your most effective combat units. They think a couple of Hurricane Bolters with a Shield Captain is scary. Wait until they see Celestine swinging with 12 attacks.
Yeah, Celestine's sword is scary business. Also, Steel Legion Rob says that I used to use Eldrad and I shouldn't say anything. But this edition, I have not, like, mixed Drukhari and Eldar. I've been very... And I've been playing, like, every tournament without any Eldar support. So we do have a question from Prophet of the 8th on Twitch. He says, would you take Sisters of Silence with your Sisters of Battle?
Okay, both yes and no. Sisters of Silence offer something that makes Sisters of Battle even better. Like, the ability to tell a 1000 Sun player that they can't do anything on their turn is amazing. Because Sisters of Battle have an ability that lets every single unit, within the 9-inch bubble, obviously, which also applies to their tanks, 2d6 deny the witch.
Right. Now, there's a way to get another 2d6 deny the witch as well with a relic. Like, so all the regular sisters get that too, right?
Yep. So on top of that, you then take the Sisters of Silence, which give your opponent minuses, and it's amazing. Like, it's actually really funny. And no one's going to be targeting your Sisters of Silence because they're pretty much garbage.
Okay, so it's the Brazier of Eternal Flame. So they basically...
Yeah, the Brazier of Holy Fire, because for some reason they changed its name.
Right. Because, well, you know GW and their names.
Yeah, they need to change it to something that they can copyright.
Exactly. Okay, so there's another cool little combo, and that's when you use Sisters of Battle, like anti-Psyker stuff. Sisters of Battle, they have a stratagem, which is Suffer Not the Witch, which is... basically, oh no, that's not it. Where is it? Do they still have the one where they get to stop a psychic power? No, they don't, right?
Their entire army has a Deny the Witch on a D6.
Oh, yeah, Purity of Faith. There it is. So you can pick an enemy psychic that manifests a power within 24 and roll a D6 on a 4+. The power is resisted and the effects are negated. So basically, you have a 4+, just stop a psychic power completely. And I love doing that combo with the Black Templar one, which is called the Pour the Witch, which is the exact same. And being able to just stop any power on a 4+ is insanely powerful.
Also, keep in mind, that ability can be spread. So the entire army gets the ability to negate on a 4+.
Yeah, and then you add in a Black Templar detachment if you wanted to do allies, and you can have two... You can stop 2 psychic powers on 4+, just to say no.
And you can force your opponent to fail with Sisters of Silence. So there is incredible combos with the Sisters, and I'm really, really, really loving it. I got somebody here who's saying power armor ain't what it used to be.
That's true.
I disagree.
If you have an invulnerable save, I would agree with you.
But a 3+ sitting on terrain is a 2+.
That is very true. Except
it is really hard to clear giant infantry blobs off of an objective. Especially if you're playing in an ITC event where you stick all of those power armor on the bottom floor of a building.
Yep.
And your opponent has to walk all the way around the board, then shoot them, then kill maybe 2 or 3 of them. You pass morale because morale is not important this edition at all in any case.
Yeah.
And then... yeah.
Steel Legion says Primaris Marines are Terminators in terrain, which is true.
Oh my god, yes.
The thing is, his army just ignores cover, and he's very popular around here, so he doesn't care if you're sitting in terrain.
Yep. Unless you're doing something else that's giving you a buff to your cover, or a -1s to hit, which is the most asinine rule in this edition.
The negative modifiers to hit? Yeah, I would yeah, when you start playing against those silly Alatok flyers with the -2 to hit, then it starts becoming really silly. You
know what I do to those Alatok flyers? I hit them with heavy flamethrowers.
Now, do you like the I want to say immolators?
The Immolator is an interesting tank, but it's around the same cost as a Repressor, and the Repressor is just better.
Right, because the Repressor is like a glorified Rhino, correct?
The Repressor is way better than a Rhino. It's 2 heavy flamethrowers, a Storm Bolter, and 6 occupants can shoot from it.
Wait, so it's an Immolator and a Rhino combined?
Yeah, essentially. The Immolation Flamethrower is 12 inches, though, which makes up for it. But at the same time, if you're using the Aura Bubbles correctly, your Immolators are rushing up the field 24 inches, 27 inches, getting right into flamethrower range and ramming into your opponent's, like, shooting immediately.
Stuff like that?
Well, no, to beat them in close combat, because they get a 9 attacks. At strength 6 -1, hitting on 5s.
Repressors get bonus attacks in combat?
Yep, against infantry.
Really? Because they're, I guess, designed to, like, quell riots and stuff.
Well, yeah, they're anti-riot gear.
So Sentinel Entorn says Orks say meh to minuses to hit. Yeah, because Orks don't care because they're darker rule. They just hit automatically on 5s and 6s.
Yep.
I guess they'll be sort of like a silent meta counter to the negative modifier to hit armies.
Actually, they still miss on 5s, but they can't miss on 6s.
Yeah, the 6s. They can't miss on 6s, but I'm thinking with the more DACA stratagem that makes them hit on unmodified 5s and 6s.
Yeah.
They can use on one unit, at least. When you combine that with looters, it gets really cool. Okay, so I had another question on penitent engines. Do you like them?
Penitent engines are interesting, but they're a very slow unit. So, you remember how I was talking about all those aura bubbles and using Acts of Faith and using all of this crazy stuff? None of that actually works on them. They don't have Acts of Faith. They are a slow-moving dreadnought with 2 close combat weapons and dual flamethrowers. Heavy flamethrowers. They're really good for what they are, because they're 110 points, I think?
Yeah.
Each, and you can take them in a squad of 3. They're good. They're not great. They are going to be able to kill things that they touch because they get double attacks, and they get those double attacks before your opponent gets to react. So it's, I'm going to smack this unit, and then I'm going to smack this unit again, unless you pay 2 command points to interrupt me, and then you're going to attack back. And at that point, I've already dealt 10 attacks at strength 10 AP -3, I think, and 3 damage a pop.
Yeah, they have 4 attacks each.
Yep. So with priest they get.
Oh wait,
no, they don't even get the priest buff because they're not infantry.
But they're Adeptus Ministor, right? Doesn't that affect? Is it only infantry?
Only infantry.
Preacher. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep, they nerf them pretty hard.
Oh, that's a shame. But you know, I like things that can attack twice because they can go in, clear like a small unit, then kind of pile in and continue to attack stuff that they really wanted to attack if they declare charges against it.
Well, hear me out on this then. What sounds better, a Canoness doing it, or Canoness doing it on one of the first or second turns, or them doing it on turn 3?
Well, you can do it with a Canoness and then still use that aura buff, right? And
and use it on the entire army.
So if you hit like the whole line with, say, you know, 75 Sisters of Battle or 45 Sisters of Battle, and then have them all charge into combat, attack once, and have the Canoness like pop the bubble, and then have everybody attack again. That actually, the weight of dice on that would be.
Yeah, it's if you get 2 full sister units into combat turn 1, it's 180 attacks.
That is nuts. That sounds very dangerous.
Well, that would be turn 2, because turn 1 you're using the ability to move versus the ability to swing twice.
I guess it would also depend what army you're playing against, you know, because...
Even still, strength 4 at 180 attacks, and ask any orc player, they'll tell you, it will kill it.
It will kill stuff. Now, what about using something like a Space Wolf character with the Armor of Rust to kind of have a unit attack last if you get charged?
I mean, I don't worry about getting charged because I assume immediately that if I get charged, my sister unit is destroyed.
That makes sense.
And I've already planned for that and have another unit for counter assault. That's why I said earlier about the 3 HQ choices, the counter assault HQ, which would be Celestine in that case.
Yeah.
And no character in the game can survive multiple rounds against Celestine.
Yeah, Celestine is a beast. She's really strong. Even with her like nerf, she's still going to be one of the best HQs in the game. And Sentinel says enough hits will take anything down, and that is very true. If you just roll weight of dice, it's one of the reasons why I run things like Venom Blades on my Drukhari Archons instead of like a Blade, because wounding on 2s, I'm just making you take lots of saves, and eventually you're going to fail some.
Yeah.
Volume.
It's not like anybody's bringing anything with a 2+ save unless you run into Custodians in close combat. And that's where power armor really starts to shine, is when you get into close combat and your opponent has to hit you with basic attacks and they're just like, oh, damn it.
So we got a lot of people agreeing with that. We got Steel Legion saying 50 Intercessor, Primaris Marines, go for that. And then Fulgrim says volume is almost always better to quality, which I would agree. In like in a math game, when you're doing lots of math stuff, you know, just having like more boys, less toys, or more units, less upgrades is usually the best way to go. And and for example, with the Sisters of Battle, you can do that with just the Stormbolters, right? Because Stormbolters like double the or quadruple the shot.
Each squad of Sisters is 6 points for 3 Stormbolters, and those Stormbolters have a stratagem where you want to take them with the minions, so you get the 5 Stormbolters, but you get the minus 2 AP strength. No, it's minus 2 damage Stormbolters. So you get into rapid fire range with a Dominion squad. They're getting 4 shots apiece. That's 20 shots at strength 4, AP minus 2, 2 damage a pop. They're going to kill a Custodian unit, no problem.
And you could also give them the +1 to hit if they're within range of the bubble, or with an act of faith. And then, you know, they probably got there really quickly to get in because they could move an extra 3 inches. So it's more likely they'll be in that rapid fire range. So you're looking at like just combining all these cool little things together to kind of deliver a hammer blow on certain areas of the battlefield.
Which I find it to be really amusing because I keep going back to base Space Marines for a comparison, and I'm just like, wow, Space Marines get outshot and out close combat by Sisters of Battle.
And they're also cheaper, right? Sisters of Battle is what, 2 points?
They're dirt cheap for their squads, and they're dirt cheap for their upgrades. And they're just better all around. Their strength and toughness 3 is almost The toughness 3 hurts them a little bit, but at the same time, the weapons that are going to wound them on 2s anyway.
I feel like toughness 3 doesn't hurt as much as it did in previous editions, because
without a doubt,
right? Because before it was what, on strength 5 could wound them on 2s. Correct? Yep. Yeah. So now, but now like things like heavy bolters wound a sister the same as they wound a Space Marine. So that extra toughness doesn't really come like doesn't really come into play as much anymore. Now would you go for Uriah Jacobus, which by the way, that was one of your recent tactical videos, was on Uriah.
Actually, in my latest thing that I just recorded, I literally recorded it yesterday. I talk about how he can get a 4-up invulnerable save. So...
Well, he has a 4-up invulnerable save.
We got somebody spamming my chat, so they're getting banned.
Every once in a while that happens.
Yeah.
Rob says, there's a reason you don't see regular Marines anymore. That is very true. Unless you're like me and a glutton for punishment, because I run a few regular Marine squads.
So here's the thing about regular Marines. If you're not taking Gilliman, they're not worth taking.
I take a lieutenant and a chapter master, so it's like a mini Gilliman. But yes, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because I run Black Templar, so I can't take Gilliman. Well, I could, but I don't want to.
Oh, got a question here. What is your opinion on the Tau now that they've lowered their costs in their battlesuits? Space Marines outshoot them?
Tau, I feel they got a lot. They're very strong. I really do think they're strong. Like Space Marines can still do a lot of damage, but if you haven't played against a broadside Tau army yet with Shadow Sun and the 3 Riptides, you need a table with terrain, like ITC style terrain, to really give them a good fight. If you're on an open table, they will crush you.
The problem with them is the most competitive lists right now, the most average lists that you're going to see, are going to slam them turn 2 and kill them. Even with all of their craziness of, you know, everybody gets to Overwatch the 1 unit, a Rhino just needs to touch 2 units and the army is neutered. That's their biggest weakness is, yeah, they get to retreat and fire, which is cool, because they have the fly keyword. Except you're going to run into constantly having to do that, and then once you run out of room because your opponent's going to bullhorn you, you're going to start falling apart to close combat. And all you have to do is make it into close combat, stay outside of base contact, and then turn your tank into other units. They get to smack you, but who cares? They're not shooting. So you can tie up all of their marker lights immediately. Right.
Yeah, there's definitely ways against the Tau, but they really needed that point boost, and it's really nice to see them kind of get the point boost. Yeah. It makes a lot more options attractive within a Tau army, like the crisis suits and things like that you didn't really see ever, and now I feel like you'll see a lot more variety within Tau lists.
Yeah.
So, Prophets of the 8 says Gorham Gundam Wing list. Yeah, that's pretty much, it's like a Gundam list with and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. But back to the faithful servants of the Imperium and the God Emperor of mankind. So you say you like Jiraiya. He's got some cool little rules. Do you think his extra points like warrant him over a missionary?
Okay, so he's 50 points. Okay. Which is still dirt cheap. He has 2 invulnerable saves, which never really come up unless you're playing against Eldar, who go, I'm gonna take away your invulnerable save, and then they shoot you, and you're like, I have an invo save, and they're just like, wait, what? And you're like, yeah, you took away 1. I have 2. He has Shield of Faith, so he does get to deny the Witch, which means that he does boost your army a little bit more. His weapon is nothing to write home about. Himself is nothing to write home about, but his buffs and his survivability is what makes him worth it. Because once a character gets surrounded, they usually die. He can survive.
Yeah. I really like his Word of the Emperor. If a model flees within 6 on a 4+, they just don't flee. Which I think is really cool when you're running big hordes of infantry. Instead of having to spend points on keeping them around for morale, you can just have Uriah be like, "Oh, stay," and they don't run away.
Stay a while and listen.
Yeah, stay a while. Let's go kill some heretics.
Only some people are gonna get that reference that I just did.
I definitely didn't. I think it went right over my head.
I'm gonna see if the comments get it, and then in like 2 minutes I'll tell you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Repentia squads. Yay or nay?
Okay, so they are bad, but in the best way possible.
They're terrible bad.
No, they're not terrible. Okay, so hear me out on this. They can get a 4+ invulnerable save, which makes them survivable. Okay?
Okay.
That's really, really, really cool. They get 8 attacks apiece. No, wait. They have base 2, 3, so 6 attacks apiece. Which is, again, ridiculously cool. They're hitting on 3s, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Isn't that good unless you take a priest, a mistress with them, then they're rerolling everything.
Right.
And they're actually ridiculously good if you make it there. The problem is making it there. You can take them in a Rhino or a Repressor and just rush it up the board as quickly as possible, and then unload them and counter-assault. They're a counter-assault unit.
Okay.
Also, somebody did get it. I was talking about Diablo, and of course, it was my boo who got it. My fiancé.
I love it. So a Repentant squad, you feel, and they've got some, like, they seem to be decent with the 2 damage eviscerators going in, doing some damage, but they need to be put in. Would you put them in a, how many can a repressor carry?
10.
10. So you could put 9 of them in there with a mistress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds pretty fun. Okay.
But again, they're a counter assault unit, so they're going to hang back while the rest of your army pushes forward.
So would you base the army on 3 big blocks of 15 sisters, you know, 140 points each or whatever, 150 points each, and just do like 3, so that's 30, 45 sisters, like as a standard?
Actually, I would do 6 squads of 10.
Okay.
So 60 sisters.
To maximize the Stormbolters, I'm assuming.
Not to maximize Stormbolters, to maximize the number of Acts of Faith you get. Because you get points based on the number of units, and to bring a brigade detachment, so you get that 15 command points.
Right, so you'd run the 6 Sisters of Battle squad, that's 90 points each, 96 points for each squad. That's only 700 points you're spending on Sisters of Battle for 60 bodies. And then you've got, would you run the Canoness, like a missionary? So for elites, would you be running the Repentiers, or would you be running...
For elites, I'd run a Delgatus and 2 Hospitallers. Just to keep them dirt cheap. Because I take Repentia in fun lists, but a competitive list...
the dialogue lets you reroll failed tests of faith.
Yep.
Ooh, that's useful.
Yeah, so a lot of people are actually running 3 of them. I think 1 is enough if you keep it in the right spot.
Yeah. Well, you could technically run 2 and then 1 Hospitaller, you know, or whatever. But I guess, what about Arcoflagellants?
Arcoflagellants are... I don't have the models, so I have never run them. I've seen them on paper, and I know they're good. Yeah. It's just, again, I don't like... I'd rather take the Sisters of Battle over them.
Right.
I mean,
they're another, I'm assuming, counter-assault style unit. But the amount of attacks they get, like 9 attacks each with the stratagem, you know, it's strength.
Oh, they get more than that. Because you take a priest nearby, you give them +1, but they never get the double attacks.
Right. No, but it's D3 each, so they'd get, with the priest, they'd get 9 attacks each.
Mm-hmm.
With the stratagem. But that's, you know, re-rolling everything. That would clear out some hordes pretty good. But I guess Sisters do the exact same thing. Okay. What about Death Cult Assassins?
Not even worth looking at.
Okay. Then for fast attack, are you looking at the Dominions?
Dominions, yep. 3 squads Dominions, 3 repressors with meltaguns to rock up 24 inches immediately up the board, to allow the rest of my army to actually sneak up on my opponent. So turn 2, I do the second wave of hits, and my opponent's still trying to deal with the Dominions. And one of the cool strategies that I like to use, that I exploit the out of, is that the repressor is big enough, because it has a little bit of an extension off of the top of it. It's big enough to allow the sisters to disembark on top of buildings.
That's pretty cool.
So you always rock them up within 6 inches of a building, and since they're on 25mm bases, you simply deploy them up on top of a building, all nice and touched, because only 1mm of that needs to be within that 6-inch bubble. So you protect them, or you throw them behind a wall. Because a lot of people still are under the impression that you move out from your tanks. Now you literally teleport.
Yeah, you teleport through within 3. No, that definitely makes sense. And then for heavy supports, then, in order to run the brigade, because you're looking at a brigade, are you looking at Retributors, Exorcists?
3 squads of Retributors with heavy bolters, Sister Superior with a Storm Bolter.
Okay, just...
An extra body for an Imagifier.
Okay. Now, would you... so you take the 4 heavy bolters, a Storm Bolter, and an Imagifier, so 6-man squads?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Actually, wait, it's 6... It's, how I do it is I do 7, 2, 1, so it's 7, 6, and then 5, I think. Okay. No, is it 7, 6, 6? It's another way of getting more faith points out of it.
All right, because you just need the extra, like, body or whatever.
Yep, because with the combination of characters, you actually get enough to boost out another faith point.
Okay, so how many points is that brigade? Like, what else do you have?
That brigade comes to around 1,500 points.
Oh, really? So you still have like 500 points to
Yeah.
just like put in whatever else you want.
If I drop a couple of upgrades, I can actually throw... No, it's 1,700. If I drop a few upgrades, I can actually take a Knight Gallant in there. Or I
The
can take
Gallant.
3 shield captains.
How many shield? 3 shield captains?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, which one would you prefer? I think the shield captain would be more versatile.
The shield captain's a little bit better, and I usually give them the... I don't upgrade them, I just put them on the jet bikes and just rush them at the opponent also. Because a lot of people, they get scared of seeing shield captains. They're like, and they don't target the Battle Sister squads because they're like, oh, they're just girls. And then you're just like, ah, that's cute. And I did just get a super chat. What is the best way to deal with sisters? They sound scary. The best way to deal with them is, if you're running Chaos, take an entire line of cultists, line in front of your opponent, line another squad in front of your opponent, and keep them back that 2 inches, 3 inches, so they can't consolidate into the rest of your army. The best way to deal with them is target their blobs, deal as much damage until they're not combat efficient.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that you want to do, is you want to shoot a unit until it's not combat efficient, meaning you need to kill those 3 special weapons. Once you do that, the morale should take care of them, but they will pass that. But if they're small squads, they're going to be easier to deal with. Also, close combat is a huge weakness of the sisters. They're really good at assaulting, but they're not good the second round of combat. So you can actually push through them by counter-assaulting them. But be aware that most sister players are going to counter-assault you as well. So this is where you want to rush in all of your guard squads, and you want to surround your opponent's sisters, and you want to take big units to counter sisters. You need to wrap around them so that they can't retreat from combat. Because the second they can do that, they're going to destroy you.
Now, do regular sisters have a bolt pistol as well as their bolter?
No.
They do not. They just have a bolter, frag, and crack grenades.
Yep.
Okay. Now, Sentinel says, how to deal with sisters of battle? ... Kill them dead.
That usually works, actually. One of the things that people need to realize is Sisters of Battle are only hitting on 4 ups in close combat, rerolling 1s because of the character bubbles and everything. So close combat, second turn is a big weakness. Also, thank you, Fake. You're awesome.
That's pretty cool. So it seems like, you know, folks are really, you know, I feel like Sisters of Battle will be one of those armies that if you're not prepared for them, they could really take you for a spin, because not very many people have like that, the models, because it's a very expensive army to build like from scratch, at least right now.
That's why, if you can, get some third-party ones to test them out. These come from Dreamforge. They're pretty good standard Battle Sisters.
Yeah.
I put them on 32s because I know the Sisters of Battle. I know the Sisters of Battle are going to go on 32s. Because as it currently stands, they can get 180 attacks, and nobody wants to deal with that.
Yeah, well, you've got like the, you know, the 4 ranks with the little bases or whatever. It can be really nasty, if especially when you're trying to build like a close combat army.
That's why they switched Orks to a 32mm base. That's strictly...
to deal with that.
Oh, Battle Sisters do have bolt pistols. I apologize. They do.
Hooray! Well, there you go. That means they can shoot you with pistols in combat, which is really useful. Okay.
I always forget that basic Battle Sisters have that, so I apologize.
Now, as for, would you say what's your favorite act of faith? The +1 to hit?
The attack twice.
The attack twice, which is called the passion faith at the start of the fight phase. Now, I guess it's really important to note that it's at the start of the fight phase. It's at the start of your fight phase, right? You charge, that means that each unit would get to attack twice before the enemy gets to go.
The cool thing about that is the Canoness using that ability doesn't have to charge.
Nope.
So you can keep her as a counter assault and let the rest of the army get the bonuses from her.
Fulgrim asks, he said, what's the name of that company again? Is it Dreamforge?
Dreamforge minis.
Dreamforge, yeah. Okay.
Here, I'll show you what the standard Battle Sister looks like that I use from them. If this will focus, sort of. They look okay enough. You just give them a bolter and they're good enough. Put them on a GW base. I always do like a desertous rock terrain for my bases. They work perfect, but I actually have enough Sisters of Battle to run them as just on their own. Yeah. Although with this new update, I actually did take out these girls to maximize the amount of bodies I can have on the battlefield. And I have, I think, 20 other sisters to paint up. And by that I mean I'm going to send them out to be painted. But yeah.
Wow, all these like acts of faith, when you think of that that ability. Now, would you take something like a guard commander in there with like a regen command points thing, just to have extra command points for
well, you only get one command point back, and to be honest, it's not worth it.
No. So you try and start with as many as you can.
You don't want to get rid of your warlord trait to do that, or your relics to do that, and you don't want to spend command points on other people's relics to do that.
So would you take loyal 32 then for an extra 5?
No, because I could take a couple of sisters and do the same thing and get the Bunchalis in there and have battle sister squads to get more bodies on the field to get more acts of faith.
Because I guess you could do a couple of preachers or something really cheap, and the sister squad's only 45 points. So it's not that much more than some.
Yeah, the guard squad's at 30 points apiece, so it's what it's 90
200 points for another battalion. So you could totally do it with just the sisters then. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool, actually, when you think about it. Okay. So before we start wrapping it up and kind of like get some final questions here and whatnot, do you usually play a lot with your sisters? I kind of noticed something that I like is you talk from experience. You don't just, theory hammer your way to stuff like that. Like, it's one of the things that I like to do is I only talk about units that I've used or that I have experience with on the table. And that just kind of gives a sense of legitimacy to like everything you're talking about the sisters, which is really cool. So do you have any events you're going to? Have you been playing lately? Any matchups, bad matchups?
Bad matchups are actually long-range heavy bolters. They absolutely annihilate sisters. Like, I went up against a custodian list of 16 jet bikes with hurricane bolters. Mm-hmm. They killed me turn 3.
Ouch.
Because they got into range, double fired on my army, and I was just like, good game. But I am going to Adepticon coming up. I have not entered any events. I am strictly going there to have fan meetups and fan games, and I'm really excited about that. Aside from that, I do have Golden Sprue coming up. I may or may not enter it depending on the day of the week. Well, not the day of the week, just what's going on in the calendar at that time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of hit up all the big conventions around here. I also go to anime conventions as well. I'm going to Dragon Con this year, or not this year, but next year. Time travel. Anyway, I will be going to that, and yeah.
That sounds really fun. So anybody in the chats on YouTube and on Twitch, make sure you leave your comments or ask a question as we're going to start. Wrapping it up here soon. But Alfarius on the Twitch says, come out to the Barry Bash. That's on the last weekend of February in Barrie, Ontario. He would like you to come visit. However, you're coming up to see Mini Wargaming at some point.
Yeah, I do plan to head back to Mini Wargaming, check them out, and I want to spend about 5 days in Canada. Awesome. This way I can hit up some of my more Canadian fan base and actually get a game against you.
Yeah, that would be fantastically fun. There's tons of like great places to meet up and have a game, but we'll definitely be staying tuned with you guys. We'll have the Sisters of Battle purifying the unclean Xenos.
Well, I don't only have sisters. I have
whatever you decide to bring across the border.
Yeah, because I think this time I do want to bring sisters to mini wargaming, but I also want to bring my I do also want to bring my Sons of Garrow, which is the channel's chapter of Marines. And one of the fun things that I do with it is for every HQ/character or person with the character keyword, one of my fans can submit a story for that character and actually have them appear on the tabletop. Like, my 4th company is my best company. It has the most characters out of all of it. It has Terrellian Pin, my Master of the Forge, that's always with the 4th company. It has Narstani. It has Chapter Ancient Tobian. It has so on and so forth.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I forged narratives with them as I go. Like, currently they are pursuing an Ork Wa and trying to destroy it before it hits the Macragge sector. And they have been trying to catch up to it, but they've noticed that this Wa is a lot smarter than it seems. And a lot of the boys are mech heavy. Right. So Macragge, the Ultramar Segmentum is in for a big fight once they get there. But at the point of them entering that sector, the Sons of Garrow do need to back off because they're not allowed in that sector.
Right. And then hilarity will ensue. Yeah. So, have you been using any of the Vigilus stuff then?
Not yet. I did get the Vigilus book. I got a digital download of it, and I'll be honest, I haven't even opened it yet. I saw a couple of the formations in it, and I thought those were neat, and I see them mostly as a way of... I know what GW is doing with them. They're trying to sell models that have low sales right now. Like, talking about Centurions, it's just like, no one's using those, GW. Why do they have a $78 price tag?
That's right. I did build some Black Templar Sword Brethren. I painted them up because I really like the Sword Brethren detachment in here. I thought it was really fun. Yeah,
I mean, once some of my other armies get formations, I might dig into it a little bit more. But I can tell you this, the campaign books are going to be what's after the codexes once they're out. I think we have about 7 more codexes, and then that's it, and we're going to go strictly to campaign books. Like, I think the next one is Gosgol, then the one after that is going to be Abaddon, and that's when they're going to release a next wave of models for them.
Yeah, Abaddon's getting a big model and stuff too, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of them is going to be Fulgrim, one of them is going to be Angron, and they're going to release their respected codexes with them. For instance, we're going to have Codex Emperor's Children, Codex Demonkin in the near future. This is me speculating. This is not... But this is also based on my business background and how I would run the business, and so far I've made a lot of correct calls, but I'm not... Yeah.
You're like the whiz guru of knowing what's coming next.
Well, yeah, also my distributor for my store has really loose lips.
There you go. So, Sentinel says, GW wants people to use the Space Marine and Power Armor wrapped in Power Armor. Maybe I should use them as basing material.
Yeah. You know what? Here's what they need to do to Centurions. Like, this will make Centurions sold really well. Put Sisters of Battle in them.
But make them be able to take Acts of Faith and have a 4+ invulnerable save.
Yeah, put Sisters in them.
Let them fall back and shoot. That's all I want my Land Raider to do. To fall back and shoot.
All right. So let's talk about the Land Raider for a second. All they need to do is give it the Titanic keyword, and that thing would be fixed.
I know.
Make it a super heavy. It literally is as big as a Baneblade in the lore. Make it back up and fire.
Oh my goodness! Having a little stand-in base-to-base with my Land Raider. That's why I started taking Storm Ravens, because I was like, at least you can't tie it up in combat, even.
I understand why they did it, because they want to sell the new Repulsor. And I fully agree with that. The Repulsor is better than the Land Raider in every single way. Because of that fly keyword. But at the same time, it's supposed to be it's one of the most iconic tanks. Let it back up and fire.
Steel Legion Rob says they cut the cost of the Centurions in half in Chapter Approved, and they're still not viable.
Well, yeah, I mean, what do you have? 5-inch moving. Hurricane heavy bolters is the best option for them.
Yeah, 100%.
No ability to get them to move into combat efficient locations, and no invulnerable save.
Land Raiders, but yeah, no invul save. Alfaria says he really misses playing a Centurion bomb. He used to use 10 assault
with Grav.
No, assault ones. He used to use the assault ones coming out of a Spartan. He used to run them out like when their power fists didn't strike last, and they were strength 10 power fists back in 7th edition.
Mm-hmm.
And Prophet of the 8 says the Repulsor is still an ugly-looking tank, in my opinion.
I disagree with that because I have a Repulsor that is beautiful.
I like it. I think it's not bad.
Here,
I think it
give
works.
me 2 seconds to grab mine, and I could probably change that person's opinion.
We're gonna change your opinion, Prophet of the 8, on the Repressor.
Well, not the Repressor, the Repulsor.
The Repulsor. Actually, it's not repulsive. It's the Repulsor, which is completely different.
So give me 2 seconds to go and grab it real quick.
Yeah, no problem. It has a ton of shots. It's really hard to charge it, so it's hard to, like, you put it in a crater, and it's -2 for the crater, -2 for being a repulsor. Second only to Sakaran. I'm pretty sure you could convert it to make it look less boxy if you want, but it flies. It can go up on buildings. It carries Primaris Marines, like the only thing that carries Primaris Marines, and it carries 12 Primaris Marines. So you could put a whole Intercessor squad in there, which is ridiculous, plus a character. And I'll tell you, now that they went down in points, like, why wouldn't you take a Repulsor? Those things are incredible. That looks awesome.
So I did a ton of conversions on this thing. In fact, it actually does have internal lights. I just need to drill out the holes really quickly. I haven't done that part yet. But this is my Repulsor. My chapter for my Primaris Space Marines is called the Lost and Modern. And what they do is apparently attack people with psychic powers across the country. But
yeah, I did. you scared the shit. Well, it was my
So what this what their chapter does is they rush to the front lines and resupply. So that's why it has all of the bags and everything on top of it, all of the comms equipment, because I run this as a pseudo command vehicle. I say pseudo because it still follows the rules for the Repulsor, but I use it as though it were my command vehicle.
Yeah.
And I maxed it out for shooting. I sanded these down so they sit lower, so it doesn't look as ridiculous.
Right.
And yeah, this thing gets an insane number of attacks, and it's honestly a beautiful model. Like, it's kind of like the Storm Raven. When you look at it as a picture, it is the most hideous looking vehicle in the game, until you actually hold one in your hand and you're like, oh, this is a helicopter.
I totally agree. And it seems like the GW photograph team doesn't have the best history when it comes to making things look appealing on the pictures and stuff, like the promo pics. So they should I don't know, they should just get someone better at taking pictures.
Now, granted, I still think that the Storm Raven needs to be extended just a little bit. So a little bit of plastic art goes a long way to making the Storm Raven actually look like an attack helicopter. I mean, if you look at any of the Space Marine aircrafts, they're all attack helicopters.
They are.
In fact, most Imperial crafts are Veto aircrafts, and they're in the shape of helicopters. Like the Valkyrie, the Vendetta, those are helicopters.
Prophet of the 8 says Deathwatch. I would get one for my Deathwatch. Says no question. Yeah, I agree. They look really awesome.
Deathwatch are in an interesting spot right now in the meta. They're ridiculously good, but not great.
Yeah, they're like at that teeter-totter point.
Yeah.
You know, like, you just need some really good skill. Do you have any questions on your end on YouTube?
A few dumb ones. Have they talked about Crimson Fist yet? We have not just yet. I don't have that book yet, so I have nothing to comment on it, except for them doing mini codexes. Is that that was predicted by me at the beginning of this edition. Because I was like, oh, secondary chapters and everything. How do you sell more Marines?
Give them extra rules. You know, I've seen like what's in the White Dwarf in terms of you know, the rules and stuff like that. I know Rob, you know, Steel Legion here on Twitch, really excited about being able to add some really cool rules to his Crimson Fists. They added like a whole new different chapter trait. You know, they added like another warlord trait, like traits and relics and stuff like that, and some extra stratagems specifically for that. I'm excited because it lays that precedent down for other armies and stuff.
Future chapters and everything.
Exactly.
I'm really hoping for a mini dex for Fallen. The Dark Angel Heretics.
Oh, that would be so cool.
But this actually leaves the entire door open for them to do it for Chaos Space Marines, Orc clans that aren't talked about, other tendrils of the Tyranid Hive Fleet. Like, it would actually be kind of cool to get, what is his name? The Dragon Overlord. To actually get rules for him. This opens it up for almost every army. Sister Battle Orders that aren't the main 6. Would be kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think that that's just going to be cool to see, like, where they take it, you know, and it's going to make that person who's, like, in their basement collecting, like, an obscure chapter, an obscure faction, all of a sudden getting, like, some cool rules. They'll go out and, like, buy a couple more miniatures or whatever, like, feel a little special that their, like, faction got their moment in the spotlight. And even if they're not, like, the best rules, they're designed to kind of, for that person who's...
I mean, what I'm really hoping for is they do a mini dex for the Star Phantoms, because that was my chapter back in 7th edition. Because you could take 6 Devastator squads with all grav amps and drop pods, and that was my list back in 7th.
And that sounds very nasty.
Yeah, because you could bring 9 Devastator squads.
Oof, grav was so good back then.
It was, and now it's not even played.
Terrible. Okay, so I believe that is going to be the end of the little sit and chat here. EgoqueenAlexis, thank you so much for coming on to the Twitch stream and chatting Sisters of Battle and a whole cool amount of stuff. I hope that we get to do this again.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
It was definitely. So, guys, make sure you head over to EgoqueenAlexis's YouTube channel to check her out. Give her a sub.
Don't forget my Twitch.
On Twitch. She's also on Twitter. And she also has a Patreon like myself. So make sure you head on over and help her out as well.
Now, I could be a total nerd and just say likewise. No. But...
Likewise. That's right, likewise.
But yeah, be sure to check out his channel. He's got a lot of cool battle reports with an army that you don't really get to see, kind of like mine, because nobody does Drukhari, and I'm like the only person who does Sisters. So it's kind of cool we both have very rare armies to actually be seen as the main thing on the channel. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, having that little niche is really neat, you know, especially when we've been so dedicated to the factions. You kind of get really good at it over time, you know, and you know what you're talking about. There's a lot of folks out there that just do a lot of different things or follow the meta, but we're loyal to what we play.
Yeah, we know what it is.
Exactly, which makes our opinion all the more important and knowledge. So make sure you check us out, and thank you so much, Ego Queen. I really appreciate it. You are a Sisters of Battle boss. I can't wait to have a game sometime as well when you come to Canada early in the year.
Well, let's just hope that the winter is not too bad so I can actually drive.
That's right. And if not, we'll have to, I don't know, get a flamethrower from Elon Musk and melt it all or something.
Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please check out the links in the description down below. It links his channel as well as linking to my social media. Follow me there. Yada, yada, yada. I'm Alexis the Ego Queen. I love you guys. Bye. I can actually click on my thing. There we go.